What is happiness? There is no exact answer to this question, but there is a scientific approach to this rather abstract at first glance concept. Since 1947, sociologists have measured the index of happiness in various countries around the world. The number of countries participating in the study is constantly increasing, but the questions haven't changed much in half a century. Happiness is based on optimism. And the wording of the question. There are several of them, but the essence of these questions is, will you or your children live better next year than you do today? And this social optimism, this vision of the future, is the core of what we can describe as happiness. Of course, our happiness is influenced by other factors: health, family, self-fulfillment, security. Different people have different priorities. For the study, sociologists make a sample of several thousand participants in each country, both men and women, representatives of different ages and social groups. People with different incomes are among them. This is the so-called principle of representation. Gallup described the principle of representation greatly. He said, "You don't have to eat a whole pot to understand the taste of the soup. It's enough to stir well and try a spoonful." This stirring procedure is a procedure of representation, and the spoon is a sample of people who, due to their structure, have the ability to transfer their opinions to the opinions of citizens of Russia, for example. In 2019, 1,500 Russians took part in the study. Russia was 28th in the single list of 103 countries. In Russia, 42% of people consider themselves happy. Our index of happiness has returned to the level of 7 years ago. For the first time since 2013, scientists have recorded such a sharp downfall. Real incomes are falling. This, of course, contributes to the negative. If people's income levels decrease, then the level of their happiness is likely to decrease too. Although happiness is related to income, but not so closely, because there is such a thing as the Easterlin paradox, which says that after reaching a certain level of income, further increase in happiness is not observed when income reaches a certain level. There are two main factors that affect happiness. The first is justice, that is, the certainty that you live as well as others. This, by the way, is the secret of African happiness. Many countries have a low standard of living in the hot continent, and the index of happiness is not lower than that in Europe. Africans compare themselves with their nearest neighbors and realize that they live not too bad. Plus, the second factor, dynamics, is actively working in Africa. It's important for a person to live not just well, but better than yesterday. If I hope for the future, then it is clear I can easily live through today's failures. And if there's no such prospect, it's harder for me. There is no clear and understandable perspective. That is what we will actually do, what our plan is. Not just me as a specific person. Everyone has it. But what about all of us? Do we have a common plan? As soon as people lose confidence in tomorrow, stop feeling justice, and notice a pronounced stratification of society, optimism immediately decreases and the index of happiness falls. In addition, Russians consider themselves a superpower. That's why they compare their standard of living with large and strong countries, hence the fluctuations in the index. But sociologists say that for all the time of measurement, Russians did not fall into deep pessimism. They're always somewhere in the middle on the list. And the happiest people now live in Colombia, Indonesia, and Ecuador. The International Day of Happiness is celebrated on March the 20th. In honor of the holiday, we decided to distract from the facts and figures and go to the pink dream world. As philosophers say, happiness is an ephemeral concept, which means it is unstable. Residents of large cities are especially unlucky. According to statistics, people in the megapolis are much more likely to have mental disorders and depression. People in that state are beyond happiness. But even in big cities, there are places where you can hide from all the problems and feel absolutely happy, if only for an hour.
Абсолютно счастливым человеком. Если не на всю жизнь, то хотя бы на 1 час.
In Moscow, the Sweet Museum offers people to become a little happier. It's not easy to find any unhappy visitors among these bright decorations.
Скажите, вы чувствуете себя счастливым?
Tell me, do you feel like a happy person? Yes. What makes you feel happy? Love and the health of my relatives. My life is so well that I'm happy. What factors do you think influence this feeling of happiness? This is inner harmony. You need to be glad and happy inside. That is, initially look at the world in a positive way. Thank you. I wish you great happiness. Thank you. And you. Olga Bubnova, Dmitry Golovko, Alexander Yermolayev, Kirill Palmovsky, TV Briggs.